Every single time you jump on a video call, stream a movie, or even ask an AI a question, you're tapping into this massive hidden network. It's the invisible infrastructure that powers our entire digital world. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most important and honestly, most overlooked players in the game.
So this right here, it's a cell tower, and it's owned by a company called American Tower. But I don't want you to think of them as just some company. Think of them more like a fundamental piece of global infrastructure, like a highway system or the electrical grid. It's something pretty much all of us rely on every single day, and we don't even realize it.
I mean, you see these towers everywhere, right? But what's the actual business model here? How does a company turn a giant piece of steel reaching for the sky into a hugely profitable global enterprise? Let's break it all down. Okay, so the business model is actually surprisingly simple, and it's kind of brilliant. American Tower, they basically act like a specialized landlord. They own the real estate, these towers and more data centers, and they just lease out space on them. Their tenants, companies like Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, they all rent a spot on these towers to put their antennas. It's pretty much a landlord-tenant relationship, but for the digital age. All right, so now we know what they do. Let's dig into how well they're doing it. They just released their 2025 earnings report, and it's like the perfect report card for us to see exactly what's driving their success. First up, revenue. And yeah, they pass with flying colors. Their property revenue, which is mostly just the rent they collect, grew from just under $10 billion to over $10.3 billion in 1 year. That's a huge signal that demand for their digital real estate is just off the charts. But revenue is only part of the story. To really get to the heart of a company like this, we need to look past the standard profit numbers and focus on a very specific metric that all the investors and analysts watch like a hawk. It's called AFFO. So what on earth is AFFO? The simple way to think about it is this. It's the actual cash profit the business is generating. It strips out all the weird accounting stuff like depreciation that can make regular net income look a little misleading for companies that own huge physical assets. For a real estate or infrastructure business, AFFO is the number that really tells you how healthy it is. And here it is. This is the crucial number. Their AFFO per share for 2025 was $10.76. That is a solid 8% jump from the year before. This growth in actual cash profit is what really matters. It tells us the core business isn't just big, it's getting more profitable. So where did that 8% growth even come from? Well, it really breaks down into two main engines. You've got their traditional massive tower business, and then you have their newer, super fast-growing data center business. Now, this breakdown of their growth is pretty fascinating. Their organic tenant billings, which is basically just getting more rent from the tenants they already have, grew a really healthy 5.6%. But look at this. The data centers, they grew at a blistering 14%. This shows a major shift is happening, with this powerful new growth engine really kicking into high gear. And the company's CEO, Steven Vondran, he connects these numbers directly to the huge trends we're all seeing every day. Our insatiable appetite for mobile data, the whole 5G rollout, and of course, the explosion in cloud computing and AI. All of this tech needs physical infrastructure to run, and American Tower is right there to provide it. Okay, so 2025 was a strong year, no doubt. But what about the future? What's next? Well, let's take a look at the company's game plan for 2026, which they laid out right in the same report. Their strategy for the year ahead really boils down to three core pillars. First, keep that revenue growing. Second, become more efficient and more profitable. And third, be really smart about how they spend their cash. Let's just quickly touch on each one. For pillar number one, they're planning to just keep riding these big waves. That means capturing more business from carriers who are investing a ton in their 5G networks and continuing to push for that strong double-digit growth in their data center business, which is being totally fueled by AI demand. Pillar two is all about getting leaner. I mean, they're a massive global company, right? And they believe they can cut costs by standardizing their processes across different countries and using more automation to get efficient. The whole goal here is to make sure more of that growing revenue actually turns into profit. And the third pillar is all about managing their cash. With the profits they're making, the plan is to keep paying a healthy dividend to their shareholders, buy back some of their own stock, and pay down debt. It's all about making the company's financial foundation even stronger. But it's not all smooth sailing. For 2026, the company is facing a pretty big challenge. While their underlying business is expected to grow around 4%, they're also expecting a 3% drag from something called customer churn. Specifically, one major client, Dish, is pulling back its spending, and that's a powerful reminder of how dependent they can be on just a few big customers. Now, that Dish headwind, that's mostly hitting the US market. But if you look globally, the picture changes a lot. Growth in Europe is expected to be incredibly strong, around 8.5%, with really solid performance in Africa and Asia Pacific too. This just goes to show how their global diversification is so key to their strategy for handling challenges in any one part of the world. Of course, no business plan comes without risks. So to get a really balanced picture, let's look at some of the potential challenges that American Tower is keeping a close eye on.
So 3 big ones really stand out. First, customer consolidation. If mobile carriers merge, well, that means fewer tenants, which gives the ones that are left more power to negotiate for lower rent. Second, new technologies. I mean, what happens if some future innovation comes along that doesn't need giant towers? And third, interest rates. Like any company that borrows billions to build stuff, higher rates make their debt more expensive. These are the big questions they have to navigate constantly.
So at the end of the day, behind every single byte of data that flies through the air, there's a very real, very grounded business making it all happen. American Tower is a digital landlord, renting out the high ground of our modern world. And as AI, the Internet of Things, and who knows what other technologies we haven't even dreamed of yet, demand more and more connectivity, it really leaves us with one final question. What's the next frontier for this invisible infrastructure?